to have a conversation on the topic of women in tech and the fuss surrounding it, right? These are women who are breaking boundaries, taking territories, and doing amazing things in their field of expertise, right? And this session is not only designed to shed light on how powerful we are as women, but we also wanted to create a community, right, where women can interact and share experiences. So guys, it's completely a safe space. Feel free, ask questions. If you're joining us from anywhere in the world, please feel free to hit us in the comment section. Leave your comments as well in the comment section, and when it's time for questions, I'll read them out to our guests, and then we can answer your questions as well. So I'm going to go first by introducing myself, and then my able ladies would also introduce themselves. My name is Lydia Esinam Ajuma, and I work with DreamOval. Obviously, I lead customer success here at DreamOval. I am a customer service enthusiast, and I'm a YouTuber. So my ladies here, please you do a round robin starting from Winifred, and then we can kick start. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Winifred. Now you Hatchful. I'm a full stack developer. However, I'm more focused on developing the backend infrastructure and systems. I'm currently the lead Billbox developer in DreamOval. Thank you.
Thank you, Winifred. Next person, please. Asaidra can go.
So my name is Esiedwa Deborah Apoma. I'm the Vice President for Service Operations in DreamOval. I manage the provision of payment solutions and after-sales support for partners and consumers across Africa. I'm very passionate about building and supporting applications that serve users in their moments of truth. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Isiedra. Actually, that's my boss. Next person, Asantoa, please.
Hi, my name is Ya Santoa Jamai Otu. I'm a lead project manager at DreamOval. I'm passionate about project delivery focused on growth and impact, and I lead our integrations efforts between DreamOval and our current partners.
Thank you, Asantoa. Thank you so much. Next person, Mina.
Hello, my name is Mina Sabia Siedudenchi, Programs Coordinator for DreamOval Foundation. DreamOval Foundation is currently working on a project called G-Step, where we are trying to introduce young folks from the age of 13 to 16 into STEM. We've done the pilot stage, or what we'll call the feasibility stage, and we've seen amazing projects from the hack activities we've organized so far. So yes, there are brighter days ahead for the young folks that are in school now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina. Keep up with the great work with the foundation. And the last person here to introduce herself will be Jifa. Please go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jifa Asante Yeboah, and I am the HR manager at DreamOval Limited. So as HR manager, my job has to do with people management, because obviously people are the most important resources any business can have. I love fashion, I love family, I love people. Yeah, so I'm basically a people's person. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jifa. Thank you to all of you for the introduction. So we are just going to dive in. Like we all know, March is being celebrated internationally as Women's Day. And this year, the theme for that was breaking the bias. In this conversation, we are going to look at how we women breaking the biases in tech and in our respective field of expertise. So I'll just like to find out from, let's say, Mina. Mina, you work with the foundation. You've been with the foundation for a number of years, I presume. Have you always wanted to work in the tech industry?
For me, growing up, no, because I was used to the normal career path that we see, nurses, doctors, and that was it. But during my journey or my career path, I found these young ladies that they were working on computers, and I was so amazed, and I drew closer and I wanted to see how I can also get involved. So for me, getting into was as a result of seeing some few women, though there were not many, what they were trying to do. And I was also amazed. I tend to see these women dressed and they call the shots in these things that we call gadgets, and I wanted to know more about it. That was how I got close to the tech field, and I wanted to make an impact. And for me, making an impact is to how to draw more kids or more girls into seeing this passion or seeing this drive and also joining in the conversation.
Right, that's wonderful to hear. I've known Asantua for a while since she joined DreamOval, and her role has basically evolved. Asantua, I'm interested, right? What sparked your interest in working in the tech industry?
Thank you, Esinam. I appreciate the question. So for me, I've always wanted to work in tech, and I guess it made a lot of sense because I graduated college with a computer science degree. So initially, I had wanted to become a lawyer, really, and from high school. When I got into university, and I discovered a passion for computer programming. So I'm actually a Java developer by training, and that's why I joined the tech industry. And like Islam mentioned, I have dabbled in a bit of everything in a bit to find myself in the tech industry. So it stemmed from a passion that was discovered in school, and then I made it a full-time job.
That's wonderful and quite insightful. To those of you who have joined us, please, you're welcome once again. If you have any questions, just jot them down. And when it's time for questions, you'll be allowed to ask our abled panelists. Thank you. Now, I have this thing, where we always are not really in the mood to do something, but then we still have to go ahead and get at it. Winifred, I want to ask you, right? You work as a lead engineer for the Billbox team, and what motivates you to work in your field at the moment?
Okay, so for me, the fact that I get to learn everything new, something new every day, sorry, by writing code, I work with different tools and there are always different problems to solve. And a bit of background, I actually didn't have any programming knowledge prior to going to university. I really wanted to be a chartered accountant, so I was going to take business administration in uni. But then I took my
Wow.
first programming course, Intro to Programming, and I enjoyed it. I liked that I could write some instructions for the computer to act on. I like that,
Wow.
and there's always something new and something different to work with. So it's never boring. So that's what motivates me to um, work in this field.
Great. That's interesting. Jifa, you're also a people's person. You lead HR at DreamOval. What motivates you to keep going? Especially because you love family and you're almost always overwhelmed with a lot of things. Do you mind sharing with us?
I don't mind at all. So for me, it's really the opportunity to help people to positively impact the lives of different people in the team. And when I say positively impact the lives, don't think about anything too great. It's not as if um, I'm buying a house for you. Sometimes things as simple as a smile or even asking someone how they are doing is enough to switch the person's mood. Perhaps the person had a really bad night. The person may be facing some family challenges. A nice word, oh, you're looking good, or how are you doing? How are things going? Is just enough. So for me, is really the people, the opportunity to help, to leave a
Right.
mark in someone's life. That is what keeps me
Mhm.
motivated and going.
Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing this with us and to your perspective, right? So ever since I joined DreamOval, right, I've seen that the industry has, gone through a number of phases. I'm going to let Asidua touch on this for me. She's been with the company for a longer time and has also evolved within her field of expertise and always sharing her knowledge. Asidua, I'd like to ask from your perspective on this, right? How much do you think that the industry has changed ever since you joined it? That's with the tech industry. If you can share that with us.
I joined the tech industry early 2013. At the time, we were still dabbling between which is greater, Samsung or Apple. Mobile money had just been introduced. People were not really, it was taking quite some effort to get people enrolled onto the platform. We had just pushed out an app at the time called iWallet, and the adoption was quite slow. So it had promise, but then people were very, very cautious. But as the years have
Right.
gone by, we have customers who are now tech savvy themselves because of social
Mm-hmm.
media platforms. There's this need to make sure that if you touch something in your moments of truth, it is delivered immediately. So there's the
Right.
wait time or the expectation from customers has, should I say, the patience from customers has reduced over time because we are used to
Right.
using social media platforms and tools that give us information
Mm-hmm.
immediately. So from
Right.
2013 up until now, we're seeing a lot more people open up to the adoption of digital services, whether it's a mobile app, whether it's a financial app, whether it is a social media app, whether it is um, a hospitality app. So today, if I should come and talk about a hospitality app like Airbnb, half of the
Mm-hmm.
people more than half of the people on the call know about it. People on the call probably even rent out their spaces because we've seen the value digital services bring to our lives. People are able to make money. We
Right.
have Uber, we have Bolt, we have Jumia. So basically, yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's evolved in the sense that customers, users generally have identified the benefits of tech, and yes,
Mm-hmm.
they are riding the wagon. Yeah.
Right. That's excellent. I think that people don't have a choice but to ride on the wagon. Winifred, for you, your passion developed because you knew that you were able to, give the computer, an instruction and then it would, reflect whatever that you wanted to happen. For you, how do you think that the industry has evolved? I mean, what do you think has changed since you started? Because this was not really the line that you intended to take or the path you intended to take.
Okay, so for me, like I said, prior to going to uni, I didn't have any programming experience or any knowledge about programming. So, looking at then and now, I'll say that there are a lot more programming communities and discourse online. When you go to Twitter, online, and Instagram, there are always posts and discourse happening. There are Twitter spaces talking about um, tech tips, giving
Mm-hmm.
encouragement for people to join the industry. So there's a lot of access to information now. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Right. Great. Thanks, Winifred, for sharing that perspective. I mean, my next question normally would remind you of the fact that when you're a lady and then you intend to do something that is male dominated, right? Our parents or elders tend to either frown on it or friends discourage us and all that, right? Asanta, I'd like you to touch on this for us, right? Why do you think that it's important that more women join the tech industry? I've seen you, role in a male dominated role. Like I am thinking it's a male dominated role, but when I see you do it with ease, right, I kind of have a lot of confidence in the future. Why do you think is the importance of more women to join the tech industry?
Thank you, Esinam. I think it's very important for more women to join the tech industry because representation matters. What we see, most typically defines the extent to the expectations and aspirations that we have for ourselves. So for the younger women coming up, the more they see women doing tech, the more it's normalized in their minds that it's not a male-dominated industry. It's an industry that either a woman or man can get into and thrive into. So for me, that's the key reason why we need a lot of women in the tech industry.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mina, I would also want you to touch on this perspective for me, especially because you're with the foundation and you deal with a lot of young ladies where you motivate and encourage them about taking up such tasks and fields, right? So if you can share your perspective of the coordination you do with the foundation about why women should be involved in the tech industry.
So I think, as Santua has said, she has nailed it right on the head. We need a greater representation of women or girls in the tech field. So usually I set myself up so these girls will see that, yes, there are ladies in these industries that are making great strides, so they can also make it. And for me, most of the trainings that I organize, I try to have female mentors or ladies mentors, so these girls can look up to and try and bring these technologies right to their doorsteps. And I know we have lots of these young ladies in this public schools, so those are my target areas when it comes to where I can make great impact. So I usually target public schools and young girls, and also select females that have made it in this tech industry. So these girls can look up to those women that are in this industry and say, yes, there's a future or there's a great career that I can look up to. I take this.
Right, right. So I'm listening to you and Asanto. I see that a lot more is being done within the tech space, for women. And I don't know if any one of us would like to share if we are doing a lot more or what more we can do to assist women or young ladies to build their careers in the tech industry. I don't know if anyone will want to touch on this.
Hello, Esinam.
Yes, Jifa.
Okay, so I wanted to answer the previous question in a slightly different way. The question you asked about why we think it's important for more women to join the tech industry. So if you permit me, I'd like to take it from my perspective.
Sure, Jifa, please go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, so for me, it's very simple. Okay, women are the spice of life. And when you prepare a meal without spice, we all know how that goes. It's going to be very bland. So I think without women in the industry will be bland.
Great, thank you for sharing that. Guests, please feel free to drop in your questions. I've not seen any questioning yet. Please feel free to do that, and then we would ask our guests to answer that. Right. So, I mean, we have dealt with a number of stereotypes, biases, discrimination in our diverse and in our field of expertise, right? I'd like to touch on this with Asantwa. Asantwa, how do you combat biases in your respective field of the tech industry?
I think for me, the easiest way to combat biases is by speaking up. Maybe because I like to talk a lot, it comes naturally to me. But I like to give credit to the people that we engage in the industry. Sometimes they may not be fully aware that they're actually being biased, and sometimes they may be intentional. But I like to give credit that it may not be always intentional when women are being biased against in the industry. So speaking up, bringing issues to the fore, having open dialogue around things that may or may not be working in favor of women in the industry I think is the best way for me personally that I would recommend for combating biases in the tech industry. Speaking up and being open about what's going on, what's positive, what's negative, and how we can level the playing field for both men and women in the industry.
Great, thanks for sharing that. As Edwa, you once in your field, worked as a product manager, right, and worked on certain project. How did you combat biases, if any, in your field of expertise?
Thank you, Esin. One of the ways I dealt with it, because like Asantua said, some people do not, it's unintentional most of the time. Well, we have a few cases where it's intentional, but then the way I dealt with it was to keep being awesome. Basically, I'm a very passionate person, and so the way I dealt with biases whenever they came up was to just keep my head in the game, focus on the goal, prove to whoever is being biased that I can do it better than they expect, and it's worked for me over the years.
Great. I'm sure a lot of us are taking notes. Mina, you also work with project coordination for the foundation. Normally, whenever you're going to book an appointment and everyone or whoever you're going to see is expecting to see a male or a man for the meeting. I don't know if you've experienced that before. If you mind sharing with us how you've combated that bias in the sense.
And for me, not in that manner, like they expecting a male to come up for the meeting that you've requested for, but usually they look at your age. They are expecting a big woman to hold this conversation, and they see this young girl coming to talk and making some request that they're expecting a big woman with some big portfolio in quotes coming for this conversation, and they see you. So for me, breaking these biases is just giving everybody the equal opportunity, and for me, delivering on what I said I would do, so that it will pave way for the other ones that are going to follow after me to also have that same opportunity. So for me, it's about saying what I said I would do and giving everybody the equal opportunity. So we break up this bias.
Thank you, Mina, for that. And I love the perspective of yourself, Asantua and Asidua. Eric, I see your comment in the session. Don't worry. We will turn on our videos in a jiffy, and then you would see all of us in a few minutes, right? For those of you who have just joined or joined in later before we started, we've been having a conversation with the women in the Oval. We've been looking at their perspectives, sharing their experiences with us in line with how they are breaking biases in their field of expertise. So, from wherever you're joining us from, once again, you're welcome. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section, and then we'll continue with the session. I don't know whenever the guests are ready, they can turn on their videos and then we would see them. So, Eric, your comment is well noted. Well, I also want to go on with this. Personally, I was telling a friend recently that I didn't used to be this confident. I mean, when I was in primary school, I barely even spoke in class. I barely asked questions. I barely did, I never wanted to be seen. And then along the line, with the help of family and friends, I've been able to, speak up. I've been able to shoot videos and blow a YouTube channel. I've been able to come out there, public speaking and all that. And I feel that it's one of those things that as women, is very important for us, especially in how we build our confidence, right? Because then we are not brought up in that traditional setting of how we need to build on our confidence. We need to be able to go out there. We need to question things because we always would have to take whatever that is giving or is said to us, right? But Winifred, I want to just take your perspective of this. Do you ever struggle with confidence in any time in your life? I think there's a question that I want everyone to speak on. So starting with you, Winifred, if you've ever struggled with confidence and how you would want to overcome it. And maybe in answering this question, we'll turn on our video so that people can see that we are confident and we are still speaking about this subject. So Winifred, please take it for us here. Winifred, I think your microphone is muted.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I turned on my
Thank you.
camera and forgot to unmute myself.
Great.
Okay. So, yes, I do struggle with confidence sometimes. I get nervous. But then I have this kind of just do it mentality. So, however I feel about and what I'm about to do, I just push through and show up and perform. And I'm kind of
Right.
motivated by responsibility and the need to solve problems. So, if I'm responsible for something, I'm going to see it through and make sure it's done and it's done well. So, I mean, that's what motivates me, or that's what motivates me to push and be confident.
Great. Wonderful. At least we are not alone. I see Vincent leaving in the comment section that he also struggles with confidence. But yeah, you need to just get it done. Mina, mind telling us how you struggle with confidence and how you overcome it?
So for me, I try to practice with the confidence level when it comes to if I have a presentation or something. I try to practice with my mirror before I go over what I have to say to master what I have to tell the audience, go over the speech that I've prepared, the words that I have to put in, and all that. That's how I overcome my confidence. That way I know what I'm talking about, so I can boldly go ahead and do it.
That's awesome. I said, well, I admire your confidence. How have you built on it and how do you, get this going all the time?
I'll use a term my husband likes to say. It's all formats. Really, whenever I have to do anything, speak somewhere, uh, lead a team, I typically tell myself, it sounds morbid, but it helps me that we are all going to die. The person I'm worried about at the end of the day is going to die. So what's the big deal? And then so in the first 10 minutes, I would be shaky and everything. But then after I keep reminding myself, we are all the same. We are all gonna die. You got this. Then I get through it. So yeah, that's how I deal with it.
That's
So yes, it's
amazing. And I
format
should
based.
add that you're just awesome at it. So
Thank
Jifa, how do you struggle with confidence, or how have you overcome, building your confidence?
Hmm, that's a tough one. I think my fellow panelists have said a lot. Definitely practice. And yeah, I think practice makes perfect. So the more you work at it, the better you get at it.
Right.
Basically, that's
Thank
how
you so
I.
much. Okay, thank you so much, Jifa. Asantwa, how about you? I want to hear your voice on this. You speak with so much confidence, especially when you're managing a project, right? Let me hear you.
Okay, thank you, Isinam. So for me, I guess it's the project manager in me, right? I like to assess what makes me lack confidence and then address it. So
Mhm.
typically, when I'm in the dark about something, I'm not very confident. And when I don't know what to expect,
Right.
that is. And then also, when I don't have a plan, I'm not very confident. So how I combat, the lack of confidence is to be, very inquisitive. Ask all the questions I need to ask, and then have a
Mm-hmm.
plan for what I need to do based on the research I've done. And then once I know what to expect and have a plan for it, then the confidence starts brimming over. Otherwise, then of course, then I'll be faltering all over the place. So that's how I
Right.
deal with
Great.
combating.
Sure, that's well noted how you come back. And I'm happy about how we've all shared our perspective in building confidence in our various ways of expertise. I mean, Dorcas in the comments saying practice is very key. And Yvonne is also saying that practice makes perfect. And yes, great, great, great. Thank you so much for all of you who have joined. Zcon is saying that confidence is not easy. Yes, that is true. It's not easy at all. But we'll take your questions in a few minutes. Let me go on to the next one, right? It's very important to me as well. You know, as women in whatever field that we work in and deal with, we need to do twice as much, right? Whether to show yourself approved and how to find a balance in life. Family is pulling you, social life is here. Baby, kids, family, everything, work. How do we balance our life with family and work and everything, Charlie? Jifa, you are the mama of the house. Let me ask you, right? Mama G, how do you combat or how do you balance your life?
Okay. Balancing work and life is not easy. I will not lie. Perhaps it may come easier to some people than others. Some people might actually be better at balancing work and life than others. But for me, what I do to help with the stresses of life, because we know those stresses are inevitable, making time for myself and for my loved ones. Okay, don't be afraid to start a hobby. Okay, growing up, we all had many different things that we enjoyed, some of which parents, siblings, family members stifled and killed, some of which we were told, no, it's not good enough for you. Don't be afraid to go back, search for what it was that came naturally to you, that thing that relaxes you. So I'll give my personal example. Growing up, I used to really like baking, although I wasn't very good at it. My dad had a yellow box filled with lots of baking recipes, and they were on cards. Okay, majority of the ingredients on those recipes we didn't have in Ghana. So I'd go and look through my mom's kitchen, whatever she had, add things together. Most of the time, the things didn't turn out right. It never tasted nice, honestly. There hasn't been one recipe I tried when I was little that went well. Okay, so what I did recently was to go back to my love for baking, and this time, because I am a family woman, I have kids, so I bake for my kids. And what makes me so happy is when I make a pastry or something for my children, and they tell me, "Mommy, it's so good, it's so delicious." It's like I've gotten to heaven. Hey. These are words from children, and you know, children, they are like a unique, a special breed of human beings. Children can lie just like human beings, but when they are honest, they are being very honest. So when my nieces and nephews tell me they enjoy what I've made for them, so sometimes I find myself very tired, very exhausted, but I want to make it because the compliments that will come after, I feel like is worth it. Another thing I do to balance work and life is take vacations. Okay, I know when we hear people say take vacations, I know in our minds right now we are like, oh, we don't have the money for it, so vacation is overrated. Vacation is not only traveling with your family to UK or to US or to Maldives or St. Vincent Islands or those exotic places that whenever you turn on your laptop, those images come, those mountain scenes. No. So a vacation, just like a getaway, it can be somewhere, it can even be in your neighborhood. Okay. It can be something as simple as maybe getting a guest house or a local hotel that maybe you can go and sleep over perhaps 2 nights, or doing something that will take you away from your normal routine, because as a parent, normally you have to cook. Okay, it's part of your daily routine. But there are sometimes you just don't want to cook. You don't want to do anything. You only want to sleep. You understand? You only want to recuperate. So don't be afraid to take vacations, go and see Ghana, join these radio stations who go on tour around Ghana. If that's what you love, if you love to travel, do it. So that's what I will say works for me in terms of how I balance work with my personal life.
Whoa, that's quite intensive. If I could share mine before I say draw Mina and Winnie comes in, I also, try to find a balance. And everybody knows it because fortunately for me, I have a YouTube channel where I document all that. So I mean, making time with family, traveling, and just knowing work time. Once in a while, we'll work more, right? But when we have to chill, let's chill small. So I said, how do you balance, work with your social life?
Okay, so before I became a mother, every year, so in every year, there's a time in the year that anyone I work with knows I am not available no matter how much you pay me, and that is the week of my birthday. So it was a conscious effort that every once in a year for 7 days, I clock out of work. And like Jifa mentioned, I don't go to the Maldives. Sometimes all I do is Netflix and chill, sometimes alone, sometimes with friends, sometimes with loved ones, but there's some chilling. Other times, you find a
Great.
location and go and rest up. But since I became a mother, I must say, 30 minutes of sleep is a perfect getaway from work. Um, and I find one way to balance it out is give your all wherever you are. So when I'm being a mother, I'm giving my baby 100%. When I'm at work, I'm giving 100%. It's not possible to do a 50-50. So whatever time that I have, if it's work time, I'm doing the best I can while I'm working. While I'm being with a baby, I'm giving 100%. And then when it's time to take a break, I chill 1,000%, even if it's just for a day. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Mina, how do you balance your life in coordinating foundation projects?
So for me, balancing my life, I don't wait to get a long break before I have the fun or that I want to have. I try to make a deliberate effort to at least go sit some, listen to music. If it's about going to the club, going to dance off my stress. That's how I balance my life.
Nice.
I don't I just need to look for a club. If I don't get to, so during the lockdown, what I was doing with my girls was to just move to one person's house, turn on loud music, dance it, and take off the stress. That's how I balance my life. When there is enough time, we try to fix the long vacations and the getaway to a friend's birthday. So we have a weekend out and all that. That's how I manage.
Nice.
My
Mina. Okay. Great. I think we lost you at the latter part of your presentation. So okay. Winnie, would you want to share with us how you balance your life with work?
Sure, I think you've all said it. I like to have boundaries between work and home. And my husband will tell you when we get home or on weekends, no talk about work, no talk about code. I'm not, unless the server is down or is very critical, I'm not touching any code or anything. So I like to keep that boundary. Yeah, so I do my best
Right.
to make sure that no one is calling me after work or on weekends.
Great. Thank you so much. And Asantwa, I think you're the last one to share with us how you balance your life and work.
Okay, so I think most most of everything I would have said really has been touched on. So I'll just be reiterating at this point. So for me, like Winnie said, creating a logical separation between work and home is very important to me. So I do practical things like switching off my notifications for work resisting the urge to check emails all the time, even though sometimes I feel like that. And then also being intentional about planning for, home, right? Like I think everybody's touched on that. Having quality time with the family, planning both, at home events and outside of the house events, creating those memories that make the family feel like we're bonding, or creating lovely memories for, our daughter, between my husband and I. But when it comes to managing work and home, I use a to-do list. It's simple, but it works for me. So the things I need to do at work, I have a to-do list for that. The things I need to do at home, being a mom and a wife, I have a to-do list for that. And then, balancing each of them, ensuring that I can mitigate any risk of one creating a problem for the other by knowing what I'm going to do ahead of time and having a list that I'm following. So, and checking off that list really helps me to keep my life balanced, right, and keep my sanity.
Great.
So that's it.
Thank you so much, Asantua. I was actually going to ask how you deal with motherhood and tech, but then I think that you've all answered it in the various submissions. Yvonne in the chat is saying, chilling dear, okay, that's great. Sabine is saying that I think that God gives us the strength that we didn't even know we had as women when it comes to balancing work and family. Also, it's easier if you and your spouse are on the same page with raising the kids, organize schedules, and also, as Jifa said, doing those special things with the kids and spouse. Sometimes you have to be creative. Those vacations are really important. Date nights with your spouse are really important too. I agree with giving your family full attention with them. That's very true, Sabine. Thanks for your submission. That's really in depth, and I hope that we are all, trying to find a work balance in our lives. So next one, right? I want to find out, Jifa, what would you say is your most important leadership skill? Because you also lead a team here at DreamOval. What is that important leadership skill that you have and would want to share with us?
Okay. Thank you, Asinam. Personally, I lean more towards the softer skills than the hardcore technical skills, because definitely across the different roles we play as women in tech working at DreamOval, we definitely have different technical skills. I would say mine will be empathy. Okay. My strongest leadership skills will be empathy, being able to put myself, in the position of others. It helps you to be able to feel the pain of your team, It helps you to be able to resolve problems from a different perspective, because we've been so used to handling things from our perspective only, but giving an advice or solving a problem through another person's eyes is what I would say is my strongest leadership skill.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And I can actually confirm, and like Susanna is also confirming in the comment that Jifa is empathetic. I said, well, how do you, or what would you say is your most important leadership skill?
Thank you, Esina. That would be team building. I've come to learn over time that to make it far, you really need the backing of your team or the support of your team. It's not enough to be excellent alone. It's great to be excellent with the people you always work with. So the most important thing for me would be team building. So relationship building, getting to know your team, empathizing with them, like Jifa mentioned, and then supporting their efforts to develop as individuals. Yeah, that's it for me.
Oh, great. Thanks so much. Mina, would you want to touch on which skill you normally express in your leadership?
So for me, my strongest leadership skill is active listening. I think by listening attentively to people that you work with, you seek to understand rather than you being understood, and that way you get the job done. So for me, my quietness, I find active listening as a perfect leadership skills for me. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much. Right. At this point, we've actually had in-depth conversation about everything in and around our roles and how we balance life, our respective, how we combat biases in the respective fields that we run in, right? I want to find out from Asantua and maybe Winnie or Asidua, right? What advice would you give to the young ladies, right, who wish to venture in male-dominated fields?
Okay, what I would say is be open-minded about venturing outside your comfort zone. You could very well be great at what you think you don't know how to do or are yet to learn how to do. And then whatever role that you do take up, whether it's in tech or any other industry, I think it's important to leave a legacy that makes things better for those who come after you. So one, be open-minded about venturing into new opportunities outside of comfort zone, and two, work at leaving a legacy that makes things better for the people that come after you.
Great. Before Winifred adds her voice to this, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comment section and then we can ask our guests to shed more light on this. Winifred, what advice would you give to any young lady who wants to venture into tech?
I would say that with the tech industry, there are lots of resources and free courses online you can take, and I would say that they should make the best use of them and shouldn't be afraid to start small. That's my advice. Make good use of the resources you have.
Amazing. Shouldn't be afraid to start small. Before I say do I add a voice to that, Yvonne is saying communication is a key leadership skill that helps in breaking the bias in our world. That's totally true. Okay, Sabine, I'll take your question right after the last question. Asaidua, what advice would you give young ladies who wish to venture in this male-dominated industries?
The first thing would be to strive for excellence in a world that is gravely apathetic, and then be willing to learn in and around your area of interest. Nothing is too small, so sometimes you may think something your direct report or someone you work with assigns to you is beneath you. Half the time you may be learning a soft skill and that would help you in your career. So be willing to learn and then strive for excellence.
Great, thanks for adding that. And if I would add my voice here as well, I would want to also admonish and encourage young ladies to persevere, because with that you can be able to achieve it. And fear is one of the, you know, the things that happen to us that makes us feel like we are not able to do something. We should always build that confidence and overcome fear in whatever that we feel that we can be beneficial in. So finally, I'd like to find out from, let's say, Jifa. Jifa, what advice would you give to your little self?
Interesting question, Esinam. Okay.
I'm guessing it will be baking more.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll be brief with this one. I'll advise
Right.
little Jifa not to be afraid to take risks. Okay, to be more open-minded. Little Jifa should not forget at all to have a lot of me time. And then finally, and I'm sure this will be my husband's personal favorite, listen to your husband.
All right. Will that be your closing remarks as well?
Yes, that will be my closing remark.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll do a round robin. Winifred, what would you tell your little self? And then we'll just add your closing remarks before we take questions.
Okay, so one thing I'll tell my little self is to be open-minded, as Peter has said, and also not to be afraid to try new things. I'm a very reserved person, and I like to sometimes find reasons not to pursue other things that I have interest in. So that would be the advice I give my little self. Don't be afraid to try all the different interests you have.
Great. Thank you so much, Winifred. Asantua.
Okay, so I'll tell my younger self to be more intentional about building good relationships beyond the job and the tasks at hand. I think one of the best advice or piece of advice I got from our CEO when I started working closely was that people tend to go the extra mile when you have, a personal relationship or a good relationship with them beyond the work that you're doing. So that's the advice I'd give myself. So that I would have known that sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Asantua. Mina.
I will tell my little self to be very adventurous, try new things. By trying new things, you discover yourself more and better. So that would be, yes, what I'll say to my little self. Be very adventurous.
Great. I hope I've touched on everyone. Yes, so there's a
Please, you
question
haven't. Share
here.
with me. You
Oh,
haven't.
my bad. My bad.
Thank you.
Please
Thank you.
go on.
So I'll tell little Isidua to have no expectations. It helps you
Right.
manage disappointment. So whatever life throws at you, do not have an expectation of what it should be. Just take it one day at a time. I'll also tell Isidua to spend time pursuing her interests. Not everything has to be about remuneration or money or recognition. Sometimes doing something you love would make you look younger. And it is never too late to pursue anything you want to do. That's what I'll tell little Isidore.
Oh, little Isidro, I'll be so grateful. And thanks for all sharing your perspectives about what advice you would give to your little self. I'd like us to take the questions that have been dropped in the comments. Now, Zikon is asking, so please, how can we do away with biases since we are not equal? Santwa, would you want to touch on this question for Zikon?
I think as individuals, as businesses, as human beings in general, we are always continuously evolving. So doing away completely with biases may be an almost unattainable feat, but I believe in celebrating progress. So each time we are able to improve a situation that was previously biased, I think it's a victory that we can acknowledge and celebrate. Doing away with it completely may not be humanly attainable, but as time goes on, if we keep progressing towards the goal, I think we can call it a win. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Susanna's question, I think we answered it in the presentation, but we can touch on it again. She's asking, what specific biases have you faced and how have you been handling it? I believe breaking the bias is a journey, so it could be one that it could be one they are still breaking. Let me take that again. What specific biases have you faced and how have you been handling it? I believe breaking the bias is a journey, so it could be one that you are still breaking. Okay, Asaidwa, can you please touch on Susanna's question?
Okay, one of the biases I've had to deal with in my career is mansplaining. I picked this word from a Netflix series I was watching. Basically, what it means is half the time there's an issue on the table, and then I am asked to give my perspective on the matter. And then after I've given the delivery, someone on the team finds the need to explain. So it's sort of like, so this is what she meant to say. Half the time it
Okay.
feels like I didn't speak Greek, I was speaking English. I don't know why you find the need to explain what I meant to say. Or they find the need to explain how I was feeling about the delivery I made because I probably was speaking passionately. So yeah, that's one of the biases I've had to deal with. The way I deal with it is to reiterate. So if I spoke the first time and then the person found the need to explain what I meant, I come back again to say it in the way I meant for it to be said, and then end it there. If I find the person keeps doing it after the session, I go to the person and say, I thank you for trying to help. I didn't need your help though. So yeah, that's what I.
Great. Thanks so much, Asedra. So there was a question here from Joshua Welbeck, that which coding language should one start with? And Joseph helped saying that I think you have to invest in something there is in the future. There are a couple ones that are really highly rated and for which there are demands. Another person said you are learning for a goal as well. If it is for self-interest, you can just pick any, but if it is to build a career, definitely those for those that are in high demand. Winifred, you are the lead engineering on our panelists, and Joshua is asking which coding language should one start with. Is there anything you would want to add to that?
Sure. So I'd like to reiterate what the second point Joseph made. So it depends on what your goal is usually. So if you are you want to work on front end or mobile apps, you need to learn for something like iOS apps, you need to learn Swift. Android, there's the Android side as well. And for um, front end and web applications, usually when you know the basics are Java, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So once you know the basics, then you can learn or work with other libraries that you need to work with. So it's just knowing the basics for front end. I'd say it's HTML, JavaScript, and CSS.
Great. Thanks a lot, Joshua. I hope that helps. And before we all sign off, I'm going to drop a feedback form in the chat so that you can all fill it for us. Let us know how we've done on this, and then we would have future ones. So please keep your ears on the ground. Are there any closing remarks before I bring the webinar to a close? I Okay. I actually thought I saw a hand up in the crowd, but I think the person has dropped it. Okay, so I'd all want to thank all of you. Okay, there's one last question here. Sorry. Sabine is asking, how do you handle conflict within your work that is direct result of gender bias? Asantua, how do you handle conflicts? I want you to take this question for Sabine.
Okay, so I think it's best to play to your strength. If you are someone who dreads confrontation, I think you have an open conversation where you're just laying down the facts, letting the person know how you feel, and giving them, the opportunity to also bring their perspective. And I think the goal there would be to have each person see, the other person's perspective and come to a common ground where there is no longer a conflict. I mean, granted, this does not always work, especially if the person you're going to engage with is quite confrontational. But I believe, speaking openly, having dialogue around what really is at the heart of the matter, what bothered me, or how you spoke, or maybe what you said, for instance, went the wrong way, or I took it the wrong way. Please explain, or in the future, I would prefer if you didn't speak to me that way, or do whatever it is that is the grievance. Having an open dialogue, an open mind that the person may not have even intended to offend you or do whatever it is that you feel aggrieved by, and both of you understanding that it's a workplace. We're here to build something together, and it's best that we are always on the same side. And sometimes these things happen, and being forgiving, I guess, is the underlying thing.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Asantua. Alvin has a question here. Are there any statistics on the percentage of women in the tech and fintech industry? I think we'll need to do a little research, but if anybody has the answer, can share. And the second question here is, what plans does DreamOval have to improve on the number of women in the tech space? Since Jifa is here and is our HR person, Jifa, I would like you to take this. What plans does DreamOval have to improve on the number of women in the tech space?
Okay, thank you for that, Esinam. So at DreamOval, we are very intentional about gender balance. And so we have a policy on inclusion and gender balance, and we start right from our recruitment process. Okay, there are some times where we send job ads out where we indicate specifically that we are looking for, we prefer a woman for the role. And internally, we have policies and processes to ensure that at every point in time, not too far off the best in class industry average when it comes to our gender balance. I hope that answers your question. We are very intentional. We have a diversity policy that we implement in-house.
Okay.
And please,
Great.
Esther, if I may, there's a role
Sure.
open up for a cloud engineer. We are looking for a female candidate, so please let your contact know about it.
Right, so that's a free tip there. We want a cloud engineer, preferably female. So share with your contacts. They can apply at careers@dreamoval.com. We'll drop that in the comments. Letitia is asking, how do you overcome the fear of being... Sorry, Mina, you wanted to say something?
Yes, just to add to what I said, Jifa has said,
Right.
DreamOval Foundation is also being intentional by organizing this training for young girls and women so that they can amp up their skills to meet up these requirements that the tech industry will be looking out for. So we have the
Right.
Females in Tech initiative. We have the Girls Can Code, where we're taking young girls to coding get up this challenge that will be facing.
Great. Thanks, Mina, for adding that, especially with the amazing things you're doing with the foundation. Letitia had a question around how do you overcome the fear of being considered not good enough compared to a man? And then how do you face confrontations without fear? I think Asantua would like to take this because you touched a bit on this this question.
Okay, so I'll start with the how do you face I think how do you face confrontations without fear? So as I mentioned before, it's about approaching it like a dialogue, right? If you approach it as a confrontation, then obviously you're putting yourself in a box. But if you're approaching the person with, this is what happened, this is how you made me feel. I know it was probably not intentional. I just wanted to share it with you so that next time, we avoid a similar situation. And also, soliciting feedback from the person. Is there anything that you'd like to share with me that could help me understand why, what happened? And you focus on having a conversation where everybody is on the same page. And if there's any forgiving to be done, it's done freely. You forget about it, no grudges being held, whatsoever. That's how I approach, situations. Just make a conversation out of it. And I believe in not, going around repeating the issue once it's been resolved, right? If it's been resolved, you wipe the slate clean, start over again. That's how I deal with fear for confrontation. I think the other question I may have missed it, Isinam. How do
Yes,
you
the other
overcome the fear of
question.
being
Yes.
considered? How do you overcome the fear of being considered not good enough compared to a man? I think Esedua touched on that. You give it your all.
Yeah.
You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. You mitigate your weaknesses by learning more about the area that you don't feel as strong, and where you shine. You go ahead and let that shine, baby. You prove yourself by your work. Someone once told me, let your work do the speaking. So you overcome that fear of not being good enough by showcasing that you can actually do the work with integrity, with passion, and with excellence. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
I would like to
Asantua. Winnie? Yes, Winifred. Yes, Winifred, please go on.
so we cannot do anything we put our minds to. And it's good to be prepared and just focus and do what you have to do, and believe that in the end you'll come out successful. With that in mind, you'll be motivated to work on anything that's given to you.
Thank you so much, Winifred. Mina, I'd like you to take this. Albert will want to know if we have available training centers for software development.
So none that I know of now. But what DreamOval Foundation is currently doing is to partner with the Ministry of Education on the new STEM centers that they are setting up with resources and materials and the trainings that we can offer for teachers and students in these areas. That is what I can speak to. But on centers for software development, I don't know of anything as at now.
All right. Thank you so much, Mina. Are there any closing remarks? Anyone? Asantwa, Jifa, Mina, Asedo, and Winnie?
For me, I'll just
Deacon
say
says,
thank you to everyone who joined. It's
yeah.
been a great conversation. I've learned a lot from my fellow panelists as well. So thank you to everybody who joined, and thank you, DreamOval, for putting this together for all of us.
All right. Thank you, Asantwa. Asedo, your closing remarks?
So I'd just like to add that when you're making a decision to work with any organization, you should choose one that is interested in your development, first as a woman, then as a person, because we have a lovely gentleman on the call. And I must say, DreamOval has been very supportive of me in my career. And so, yeah, you should find an organization that aligns with your dreams and your visions as well.
Great, thank you, Asedua. And before Jifa comes in to give a closing remarks, we dropped the form in the chat. So please fill it for us. Let us know your feedback on this webinar. It would help us to get better at the next one. Jifa, please, your closing remarks.
Okay, mine is very simple. I'd advise everybody to pursue what they love. Okay, for some people, they might get a job role that they love to do. That's good. If that is not the case for you, find something you love. Find a hobby. Maybe it could be walking around the neighborhood. Maybe your hobby is even chatting with friends. Who says it can't be a hobby? We can even make it an Olympic sport if you like, but just do it just to take the stress off you. Don't forget, it's all about people. We weren't created by God in isolation. So we should value people, value relationships. Don't burn your bridges and never say never. Those will be my closing remarks. Thanks.
Thank you, Jifa. Winifred, your closing remarks, please.
Okay, so I think my closing remarks will more targeted to software engineers or aspiring software engineers. So I like to say that they should focus on understanding the fundamentals of programming. And once you understand the basics and fundamentals of programming, it's easier to pick up new programming languages because there will always be a new programming language you haven't heard of. So it's best to understand the fundamentals and you can just pick them up when you need to.
Great, thank you, Winifred. Now you want me to
Yes,
learn programming. Yes.
I'd like to, Winnie's submission brought something to my attention, right? You do not necessarily
Right.
have to be a software engineer to work in tech. There are a
Yeah.
number of roles you can look into. We have UI UX designers, you have project managers, product managers. That's my specialty, really. Product
Right.
managers, customer success specialists. We have
Yeah.
as in tech support, we have solution delivery. There's so many options. We even have
Yeah.
marketing as well, accounting, as
Right.
long as, yeah, it's not just software engineering.
Thank you. Thanks for adding that. You actually stole the words from my mouth. Mina, your closing remarks.
And so for me, my closing remarks will be there's a whole lot of opportunity in the tech field that we can grab on. You don't need to be too old or too little to learn about these new technologies that are coming up. I'll encourage each and every one of us on this call to push our little nephews and nieces to start things on their own. You never know, we might have the next Mark Zuckerberg in Ghana. So let's push our
Amazing, amazing. I have had a great time here today. It's been a solid hour. I've been moderating this and hosting it with Jifa, who is our lead HR at DreamOval Limited. We've been here with Asantua, who is project management lead project manager in DreamOval. Asaidwa is the senior vice president of the social service operations center here at DreamOval. Mina is mostly in the CSR, where she manages and coordinates projects with the DreamOval Foundation. And finally, Winifred, who leads engineering on our platforms and services, and myself, of course, Lydia Esenam, who handles customer success at DreamOval, always ensuring that our customers are happy and we are delighting them on our various products and services. And to our guests, you have been an interactive, team. I love you all, sending you hugs. And ladies, I'm here rooting for all of you in your respective field of expertise. Let's go on. Let's take the world on. We need to examine the opportunities as well as the constraints to empowering women and girls to have a voice and be equal players in decision making related in our various fields of expertise. And of course, sustainability is essential in sustaining our development. And also, we want to build greater gender equality, because without gender equality today, a sustainable future and an equal future remains beyond our reach. So, hey, ladies, let's go. Let's reach for the stars. Let's reach for the moon as far as we can go. And, let's make the world a better place. Thank you all so much. Well, Patrick said something before I sign out. He's saying that really privileged to experience the powerful women of the Oval Daily. You are indeed a spice in what we do, creating a reliable financial services ecosystem and what will support Africa's middle class. Amazing. So, ladies, those are shout outs to you all. And enough closing remarks here. More of these conversations, not only during the period of celebration. Thank you, Richard. Martha is saying, let's encourage the men to support the women in their lives to reach for higher heights. Thank you all so very much. To my panelists, you have been awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. We are all rooting for you, and but let's make the world a better place. Thank you, all our guests who have been very interactive. We appreciate you, and we'll be bringing or coming up with a lot more of these, this year. It's our year, so let's shine, let's conquer, and let's take the world on. Thank you, and do have a lovely rest of the day from wherever you joined in from. Have a wonderful day and stay safe. Be awesome.